Hey guys, hope everyone is well. I just want to share a little bit about one of the core values of V1, a topic that's near and dear to my heart, something that I've been learning about over the last couple of years being a part of V1, and that's the topic of excellence. And when we talk about the core values of V1, it's really synonymous with core values and principles of the Bible. And I think excellence is throughout the Bible. And I love that it's a core value of V1. I haven't always loved it, but I've certainly grown through it. And I've in no way exhausted this topic or gotten to a place of perfection or close to a place of perfection. I think it's important to recognize that that doesn't exist. You know, there's never that arrival point for anything that we're growing in. It's always glory to glory. There's always room for growth. So let's get started. I wanted to first talk about what does giving God our best look like, and I think the core principle in that is to press beyond what we think is possible, to press beyond what we think is possible for our own skills. You know, and I think for being a part of V1, it's very important to be memorizing our music. And this is something that I've really grown in and really struggled with early on. Something that I didn't think was that important, you know, and I was very frustrated that I had to memorize music because I was never quite good at it. It was always a struggle for me, and there's plenty of people who are way better at it, but I can attest to the fact that I have gotten better at memorizing music simply from doing it. Am I better than a lot of people? Probably not. I'm probably still far worse than a lot of people, and I probably in some ways have to maybe work harder at it, but I have gotten better at it, and I do thank God for that, and I thank God that V1 has helped me to realize that I can get better at something that I didn't think I would ever get better at. I think in another way, I think practicing is also very, very important. I think that goes without saying. I think we would all agree that we need to be practicing, right? But I think it's not just practicing that's important, but how we're practicing. We would all agree that practicing is important, but sometimes we could be practicing a lot throughout the week and not get a whole lot better at the music. And I think that's just indicative of how we're practicing. Like we may be practicing, have some very bad habits of practicing. And I tell my kids in school this all the time: you can't just play from the top to the bottom and expect to get good at a piece of music. You have to isolate sections. And I think it's the same thing for learning music. You know, I think you have to really invest some time, but also break it down. For me personally, I like to listen to music in my car because I have about 40 to 45 minutes in the morning going to work and coming home. So I use that time to listen to the worship music if I'm on for that week. And I'll listen to it a lot of times. And this really acclimates me and gets me familiar with the music. But even that, in and of itself, isn't enough for me to be good at the music. You know, so I like to also practice at home along with the music, with the recording. And that's usually like step one for me. So I'll practice along with it. And then when I'm in the car listening to it, for me, I'm a visual learner. So I will visualize the music. I'll visualize, if I'm memorizing the lyrics, I'll try to visualize the words. If it's the chord structures that I'm particularly working on at any given moment, I'll try to visualize what chord I'm playing at that part of the music. So for me, it just helps. You may learn differently, but for me, it helps me to visualize either the lyrics or the chord structures. For some people, writing down the lyrics helps a lot, and I've found that also helps me. I don't do it all the time. But if you like to write it down. Sometimes repetitive writing it over and over again helps you to memorize it faster. For me, it's singing. I'll isolate a specific verse or chorus, and I'll sing that particular verse or chorus over and over again. So for me, repetition, I think, helps even more than writing it down. Those are some of the things that just helped me. They may be different for you, but I think it's important to understand your own learning style, what works best for you, and to go ahead and use that. Let's talk about practicing at home. It's important to make a distinction that practicing happens at home and rehearsing happens in rehearsal, that practicing doesn't happen in rehearsal, you know? And that's no way a judgment toward anybody, but we want to get to the point where when we come to rehearsal, we're already well practiced. We know the music really well. That doesn't mean there's not going to be mistakes. You know, mistakes are all a part of the process, you know, and that means there may be a lot of mistakes on Wednesday, but how are we preparing for the Wednesday rehearsals? And I think so it's important for practicing to happen at home and for rehearsing to happen at rehearsal on Wednesdays. And I think it's also important to always model, whether you're a leader in V1 or not, to model leadership. And I think if when we're coming to rehearsals and we see people not well rehearsed, they don't know the music that well, they might not know the lyrics, they might not know the chord structures very well. What that's doing, it's inhibiting from it's causing so that there's not a good flow in the rehearsal, but also even more than that, it's encouraging other people to not work as hard because they're seeing you. They're like, oh, he's not that prepared, and I'm way more prepared, and I didn't practice that much. So it gives you kind of an excuse for not doing as well as you possibly could. So I think it's important to be a leader, no matter what position we're at, and to model that excellence all the time, even in rehearsal on Wednesdays, to be well prepared. All right, which brings me to it being a hard attitude, because someone may appear to be well prepared, but they're very, very skilled at their instrument and can kind of fake through it and make it look really good, you know? And to the outside onlooker, they may be like, wow, that guy really prepares a lot, but they didn't actually spend a lot of time preparing that week. And so I think preparation will look different for each person because all of our skill bases are also very different. But I think it's a hard attitude, and I think that's something we need to constantly ask ourselves is, are we giving God our best? You know, and I think that really brings us to what kind of investment are we making with regards to being a part of the worship team? And I think that has several layers to it. You know, are we investing the time that we need throughout the week or throughout the couple weeks to learn the music? And again, for each one of us, that's going to look different. We all have different schedules. We have different commitments, and we can't get out of those things. But are we giving God the time that we do have? You know, do we have 20 minutes a day to practice? Do we have an hour? You know, if we have that time, we should be using it to get good at our music. Does it mean we should be using every waking hour for that? No. But I think we need to be wise with how we use our time. And I think it's just a good measure just to keep asking yourself, you know, did I do my best this week? Did I give God my all this week? You know, I think about that story of the widow who gave all she had, Mark 12. The rich people put so much in the offering, right? A lot of money. She put in 2 coins, very, very little, but it was all she had. You know, Jesus said that she gave more than everyone else. You know, so it's really a hard attitude. Are we giving God our best? So it's an investment of our time, but it's also, I want to encourage you in this way too, it's an investment of our finances too, because I think that's part of it. God says, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. And so I think if it's something that's important to us, we also need to be investing financially. And what does that look like? I think something that I've been learning, especially from Mr. Craniac himself, is getting good gear, you know, having a good instrument to play, having good pedal board, having good in-ears. That doesn't mean we're going to be spending tons of money and buying the best of everything, but is it good enough that it sounds good on a Sunday? And maybe it means just a simple upgrade from what we have, you know. If what we had was good for a time and good for our, you know, us getting good at our instrument, but right now it's not really good enough, we may want to start saving for something even better in-ears, a better pedal board, a better guitar, a better instrument. So just think about those things. Think about how the investment happens with our time, but also with our finances also. So I hope this encouraged you guys in some way, and just keep asking yourselves, let's keep pressing the boundaries, keep asking yourself, am I giving God my best? You know, let's keep pressing beyond the boundaries of what we think is possible for not only ourselves, but also for our church. God bless you guys.